All right, this is it. This is my first ever true sketchbook. I drew a lot, well, I say a lot. I drew here and there as a kid, but nothing anything seriously, just fun doodles at times. But this book, this sketchbook, is the book that started it all for me. This is the book where I decided that I wanted to be a professional artist, and I wasn't going to stop until I got there. And so this is where it all starts for me. I went in my attic, maybe a week ago, and was just going through some old sketchbooks and to find this to make a video, because it's been 5 years, since I started the sketchbook, and there's something about it that's very I don't want to say the words emotional, but maybe some of that. Looking back at this sketchbook and just knowing what was to come, in terms of the journey I've made thus far, so it is kind of just an old trip back to memory lane, so to speak. So it's gonna be a little bit of a lengthy one, as it's a pretty lengthy book. This has 50 sheets, and I drew on both sides, so I mean you're looking at well over 100 pages of drawing in this. So do keep in mind it's gonna be a pretty lengthy video, but one that I feel though is necessary, for essentially for the sketchbook that started it all. So, all right. This thing's a little beat up, by the way. But this is the first ever sketchbook page I ever did. So I always date my pages. Even today, I still do them. And there was no different back then. So if that's hard to read, that is September 29th, 2020. So it was right around the time the pandemic, COVID had hit. And this was just kind of around the time by a discovery of a professional teacher, illustrator, artist, Peter Hahn, where he teaches the course of dynamic sketching. And this is me literally just copying his notes one for one off of a YouTube video. And this is just me noting down line control, just taking down various notes, and this is me attempting to draw boxes at the time. And I remember this took a lot out of me to do, because I was literally trying to mimic and copy his lines one for one, and I mean, I tried, it's there. So relationships of space, 5 core forms, 3 dimensions, shape. This was me just drawing from observation life. So this was my gaming keyboard. I think it was a Logitech G something, I forgot. And that also was my mouse. That's I believe that was my Rock Cat mouse, my gaming mouse. And some just other stuff like Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. I think that's also the nurse from Silent Hill. This was actually me trying to construct my figures, using the basic shapes I've heard in videos and stuff like that. You can tell there was little to really no understanding of 3D here. It really is just lines on the page, but that's how I was essentially just bottom of the barrel, dog water, I think this was a character I was trying to draw from imagination. I don't know what was the concept or idea behind it. I just know that I thought very, very methodically about it, and this is the best I could put out, I don't know, some bald kid. But anyways, these all on this side are just some various notes. The sketchbook is a little damaged over the years. And these are just some notes from just various artists, and I guess you could say some of my influences. So we have Oda, One Piece, we have Kubo, Bleach, Kishimoto, Naruto, so already the big 3, right? We have Katsuya Terada, right? And these are quotes. We have Andrew Loomis up here. We have Ahmed Adori, and of course Peter Hahn, and Miss Jisoo. I mean, feel free to maybe pause the video at any point. The video quality should be good enough to read what's there. But let me see if I could read an interesting one. I like the one that Ahmed Ador put here. This quote, I wrote it down because it just really stuck with me. It was like words of encouragement. But he says, my first like 1,000 drawings of hands were really bad. But I mean, if you do 1,000 hands, you'll get really good at drawing hands. And so if you have a part that you think you're not good at, just force yourself to go through the repetition. That really stood out to me. And then let's read one more by Peter Hahn, right? It's a bit lengthy one, but it says, and being a slave to drawing is one of the hard things to break away from. If you do something else, you feel guilty. He says, I got so many students telling me I feel guilty when I'm not drawing. It's like, well, yeah, you should be drawing as much as you can, but you shouldn't feel guilty if you're not, because it's more about the mindset. You can still be doing other stuff and absorbing in a way that can help you with your creative field. And that could be applied towards your drawings later on, whether for storytelling or your observations, or your suggestions to the things you're watching, or whatever the case is. So my brain is always on constantly. And that was more of kind of like a note or reminder to myself that to not feel guilty when I'm not drawing, right? So yeah, Twin People and Sketchbook Enjoy. I remember I did this at the end. I don't know, that's supposed to be like a chibi version of me, I guess, at the time. And I have it dated January 9th, 2021. And that this was the date when I finished the sketchbook. So this is the start date. Was it September 29th? Yeah, 2020 to January 9th. So yeah, it took me, give or take, three at most 4 months to finish this sketchbook. So it's my first ever sketchbook. So enough yapping. We have a lot to go through. So let me turn to the next page. So yeah, studies on hands and stuff like that. You guys might have seen these references around, maybe Pinterest or somewhere, teeth, side profile. I have to be careful with some of the nudity in here. I don't want to. I do have some nudity later on in the sketchbook, but me drawing the hand and like labeling. Dude, I remember doing this and trying to be so precise with it. Carpal bones, Yep. This is me trying to do a portrait sketch of Jill Valentine, specifically from the Resident Evil 3 remake. It's when she's in the train. Cursed nonetheless. Structure of the face is all over the place. It's just very, and obviously I'm doing the whole like hiding behind detail thing, right? Just thinking to myself, if I just add more detail, the drawing is going to save the drawing, which isn't the case. I remember I was really proud of this one. I don't know if you could really read it all too well because there's a lot of noise going on in here. But it's some chick sitting on kind of like a counter table, right? And she's kind of pulling her waist up, her like belt buckle over right that. You got the booty right there. And we see what's to be like some, like the kitchen and stuff like that. I remember I was really proud of this at the time. And she's wearing some kind of like baggy, coat hoodie thing or whatever like that. So yeah. Lips. I remember this was, what was I gonna say? So like a reference from, I think Pinterest, like kind of like showing how to demonstrate how to draw like breasts, but treat them like kind of like water bags or whatever like that. But yeah, some leg studies. I remember that was like an animal drawing I was trying to do. A hand. I'm not sure whether that's my hand or not. Maybe not. I don't know. Some legs. I remember that's my dog, Chi-Chi. He's still around to this day. He's a trooper. He's a soldier. He's still hanging in there. Strong dog. So yeah. Just legs, eyes. I remember this was from an actual picture. Some chick with her back turned, like on the bed or something like that. Yeah, this is me drawing my phone case because it was like 3-dimensional, right? It was like a box, so I tried drawing it. Kind of like my ear pods at the time. Here's another case of like the little ear pods. Japanese mask, some legs. Yeah. Me trying to draw, realism, that sort of thing. So at this page is where things kind of started like changing. Like my mindset towards art started to change at this moment. And you can start to see this right here on this page. This is where I saw the Cycra video on iterative drawing, and this is yeah, October 28th, 2020. And this is where I saw I think that video was so detrimental and so crucial to how I would go on to study later on, because I'm gonna give you guys some some real stuff on studying if you really want to get better. This stuff is fine. The whole like drawing and illustration, labeling it, putting your notes, sure, that's fine. But at the end of the day, these are just one drawing, like at most 2 hands, right? 3, whatever, 4. I kind of constructed that one. I think I remember that from a Jim Lee video on drawing hands. But what I'm trying to say is, a lot of times when a lot of people study, they do something like this, like they draw one hand to do all the labeling, and then they forget about it. They never revisit the concept of hands again. And what a lot of beginner artists think, or the brain process that they go through, is if I just do this once, I'm magically going to be good at hands. And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. Sure, labeling and giving notes, because I don't do this kind of study no more. This isn't really like, it's good to label things and kind of know like the context to the forms you're drawing, but do understand that drawing is, it's a visual thing. It's not necessarily, in my opinion, it is technical and it can be approached technical, but it's a visual thing. So it's like, you have artists that are good at drawing the thing, but they don't understand what they're drawing, right? Like they know where things go into place. They know how to make something look good. But if you ever were to ask them, like, why does it look good? They couldn't tell you. They would kind of be like, or I don't know, or it just feels right, or it just goes in the right place. That's because they trained it visually in their mind, but without understanding the context to it. That's why this is where this comes into play, because if you can develop a visual library to draw a hand, at least you can label the points within your visual library bank, if that makes sense. So the reason why I'm saying all that is because on the Cycra video, he is literally talking kind of about that, where repetition is the key. Quick sketches. I always say this, and people don't listen. Quick sketches. Do quick doodles. These shapes are taking me at this time, like maybe like not even 20 seconds, 10, 15 seconds intervals and stuff like that. But what I'm doing is my brain is slowly developing proportion understanding. Look at that. You can tell, like, look, I'm losing proportion here. They're becoming less inconsistent, but they're becoming more consistent as I'm drawing from reference. So what I'm doing is I'm going from reference drawing to imagination or recall or invention. I'm taking what I understand or what I think I understand and testing it out. Drawing from reference and then drawing without reference. You see here, this is me kind of constructing these figures. And reason why this was such a pivotal moment for me, because even though we can look at these and be like, sure, yeah, you were still a beginner, these are still drawings. The point of the theory is that I was retaining information. So even though I'm bad now, the victory is that I was retaining information, which is all I need for the years to come. And that's what drawing without reference is. That's what building a visual library is. So I just started doing this repetition thing that Cycra was talking about. It was game changer for me. I mean, I think it's one of the best, like, how to draw tutorial videos on the internet, period. I mean, I say that all the time, and I mean that. That Cycra video is game changer. If you ask me, that is the secret to drawing. That's the secret to doing what people want to do, is draw from imagination. But anyways, let me stop ranting. This is going to be a really long video, I can already tell, but whatever. This is me learning 2-point perspective, failing at it. I even make a note right here. Failed at the point perspective. Oh, it failed at the right perspective. I think I like the left point, but the right point was off. Okay. Um, Using visual landmarks, that's most likely psycho notes. Me putting notes. By the way, these are like my first ever attempts at 1 point, 2 point perspective. It says this is a 1 point perspective. This is the most simple perspective you can get. It's just 1 point. This is me trying to do a 3 point and kind of getting it, failing at it. This is me doing another 1 point and just trying to make like a cool dynamic scene because I'm understanding a little bit about perspective and space. And part of me was just like, oh, can I fit like a little stick figure in the scene, like a little fight scene or something like that, just testing myself out and, pushing things, what I can get away with. I would make a note of just how bad this cube is, right? See, like my understanding of perspective was just, just all over the place. Me trying to construct a figure with a cylinder and box and just failing miserably at it, but I'm pushing myself. That's the difference. I'm pushing myself. This is like the beginning. This is like, and I'm already trying to do something complicated is build a mannequin with primitives. I barely even know how to do perspective and, but I'm attempting it. Like, I'm throwing punches at the wall. I'm not doing much to the wall, but I'm giving it my all. And that's all that matters. Reference drawing, I think from an Attack on Titan panel or like that. Terrible, bad. I just didn't like these. Me trying to like build a mannequin figure from imagination. Kind of, I'm recalling what's it called? I'm recalling information and stuff like that, but it's still not enough. These still look pretty bad. Learning to draw cubes. I think I remember this. I had like this plastic cube thing that I would rotate and I would try to draw from life from it. But yeah, not understanding these. Yeah, I'm just attempting. My first drawings of just like skulls and studying skulls, very, very rough. You're gonna see a lot of these figures around, and these are me just trying to see trying to draw from imagination. I think I tried drawing that from imagination. I think I tried hiding the reference, or maybe it was with reference. I don't know. These are so bad. You can't even really tell, or at least I can't. I know this was from imagination though, because the construction's here, right? Oh, sorry. I'm sweating right now. It's hot in my room. Doesn't help I'm talking a lot, but you can tell because of the construction, right? And I'm like, oh, let me put my little skull and stuff there. But yeah, and like boom. So this is more of Psyker's doing. Some of this is like Psyker's construction, boom, right there. I remember this very vividly from the Psyker video. I could maybe put it on screen right now so you guys can see what I was referencing all the way back, like fucking, what is it, November 2020, drawing the knees, pretty much just trying to understand Psyker's anatomy, a really bad hand. I need to keep it going. Like I said, just pumping these out, my own version of mannequins and stuff like that. And so I will say this, there has to be a balance in between, because there's also the talk of being a slave to reference and not being a slave to reference. And I feel like you have to do both. You have to, because if all you do is draw from reference and that's what you're used to and that's all you do, that's all you're gonna do. I mean, I just said it right there. It's all you're gonna do, Bridgman, right? But if you can take time to draw from a reference and then draw from your imagination, that's how you're gonna get good from drawing from imagination. I think some of this is modern day James. Angle of shoulder hips, line of action. I don't think it was at this time I had gotten Michael Hampton's Design and Invention book. But there's some theories in here that are obviously corresponding in relation to that. Failing miserably at rotating boxes. Me drawing the primitives, the sphere, cube, rectangular prism, cone, cylinder, these are like my first, I remember this. This is me trying to do a very dynamic kind of like, I guess, top down view shot. You can see me drawing my little mannequin figure, right, with the boxes and cylinders, and you can see a little point perspective I put down there to kind of come out. And yeah, I was I was pushing, like, dude, I was doing some really, really hard stuff. I was really trying to like break what I could do. anyways, these are like one of my first ever like gesture drawings, I guess, gesture figures, you can say. And do keep in mind, I forgot to mention, because remember I brought up Peter Hunt, and all these are in pen, by the way. Keep in mind, at this time it's like ballpoint or micron, but then the reason why I'm doing this, drawing with a pen, is because Peter Hahn says all his students start with a pen, so you can stay committed to your mistakes. There's no take backs. You know, like it's more of like living. Yeah, it's like living with your mistakes. You know, because you can't erase pen. You know, I put a note bad hand. Some of these are good. Like I like this one. This one reads pretty strong. This was like a very just like I even put kill it with fire. You know, because it was like a very foreshortened perspective, and you can tell like my understanding of perspective was not great at all. You know, obviously, but you can see in this figure where she's like bending back towards it's all flat. This one was pretty good. There's some like, you know, three-dimensional. I see there's some overlapping there. So my first drawing was trying to draw the rib cage, the anatomy on the bones. I even make notes, like, you know, there are 24 ribs. I remember I did a video critiquing, someone was asking for tips on the rib cage, and I remember in the Discord, I was just telling them, just like, hey man, you're doing good. I mean, I was terrible, as you can see. This is my rib cage, all flat. There goes my rib cage then, you know, just proportions all over the place. Look how tiny the rib cage is compared to everything else. That's what I'm saying. You have to embrace the suck. You have to go through this knowing that you are going to get better. Oh, look, I put Mark Wahlberg. I think that was a, I think his OG, like Calvin Klein, black and white shoot back in the day. He had a good physique, so. I mean, Mark Wahlberg always has a good physique, but yeah. Some more gesture figure drawing here. Bodybuilders, that sort of thing. Some notes, C curves and stuff like that. Yep. Just keep turning the page. I was proud of this one. This is an Attack on Titan manga panel. I drew from for wrapping this scarf around me. Yeah, if you knew around this time, dude, with the final season of Attack on Titan, things were hype. So these aren't too bad. I like kind of like, these are more of Attack on Titan stuff, right? Look at even like, I do still, I was really proud of these, by the way. Look how gestural these poses are, right? This is where I was starting to like, I didn't understand like necessarily the whole like dynamics of like, you know, gestural S curves and C curves, but you can see I was applying it here though. I even have like these swooping lines, right? Kind of conveying this perspective. And at this time, I didn't know the term gesture figure drawing. Believe it or not, I called this speed drawing. I called this speed drawing because I was pumping out these really fast, and that's where I was starting to understand something where it's just like, oh, I'm capturing like, you know, the motion, the essence of the drawing without like doing the drawing, right? Without putting like the final details. And then I would later on go on to find out like that's literally just gesture drawing. That's what gesture drawing is. It's capturing the essence or the life or the movement of the thing they're drawing from. This is the Armor Titan. Lack of understanding of anatomy. It's all over the place. It's an abomination. So yeah. Just more gesture figure drawing. I think there's like a standoff between two UFC fighters. I think either Peter Hahn or draw a box, something like that with the ellipses. More of like kind of like my Psycho mannequin. I'm just trying to keep on recalling. Dark Souls 2 character, forgot his name. He's a merchant though. UFC fighters. I actually should do more stuff like this actually. I don't do stuff like this anymore. But I was like taking screenshots and stuff like that of just like UFC fighters, and I was just sketch them, draw them fighting. So. Here, my brother is playing For Honor. This was from Life. This is the monitor. Jose playing For Honor. Hoodie on, headset. He's on his phone. Controller on his lap. I don't know. This might be like clothes or something. I don't know. Look at that. More. You see, these are becoming more gestural. Especially this pose, right? You can see the S curve and all that, the essence of the pose. Okay, I'm gonna speed past this a little bit more, flip through more. Knock these out. if I see something worth talking about, I'll stop and talk about it. But right now, these are studies. I remember this is right around the time I was on ArtStation. And this is where I was like kind of discovering various artists and kind of just drawing what I liked. You know, like this female with like the sword going in between her legs, right? You know, really liked it. One Punch Man. You know, and this is where I think, yeah, I was going through a Loomis book. I heard stuff about Loomis, and this was me literally, this was my attempt, by the way, to one-for-one the proportion page of the Figure Drawing for All It's Worth by Andrew Loomis. Here we have idea proportion male, idea proportion female, and there, it's kind of, you know, there's some like lack of just like proportional, right? Like look at the legs and the calves, right? And the widths of them, you know? So there's definitely proportional flaws here, but yeah, it was very, very tedious for me to go in there and note all this for sure. I think these are some of his mannequins he was doing here. Loomis's mannequins. Yeah, this character looks like it's fisting that character or figure, yeah. So yeah. This is where you start to see, look, I'm starting to get a little bit better, right? This is where I was using blue pen, I think. Yeah, but it's still pen. So using pen. I remember I was very, very proud of this Chung Lee. There's Chung Lee's here. Loomis figure. So yeah, just more studies. Just going online and just drawing things that I like. I think that's so important for beginner artists, is to just draw the things that you like. Make a list of just your favorite artists and artworks and stuff like that, and just draw. This is me trying to construct a U-Haul with the primitives. U-Haul. You know, drawing shapes and stuff like that. Mannequinizing. That's how bad my mannequin was. Look at that. But I didn't stop. I knew it was bad, but I didn't look at these drawings as precious. It's also a mindset. Don't get attached to your drawings. Because the minute you get attached to your drawings, you put this like overwhelming burden on yourself. Look at this little figure I drew in this corner. This is me trying to draw like an OC of mine back in the day. Look how cursed this looks. Looks like a little doll or something like that. You know, yeah. This was November 14th. You know, so. Skull studies, anatomy, failing at drawing the skull. This one wasn't too bad. You could tell I really did a good job. I was really focusing on the teeth here. That's really good. These are drawings of my own hand. I know because how fat they are. I have very like chubby hands. So there's some pencil here actually. I'm not sure how that slipped in or why I was using pencil. Yeah, this looks good though. I like how this is reading. Nice overlap. Overlap will always make your stuff look better, right? Because it already communicates that sense of just like what's in front and what's in back, right? More life drawing. It's drawing my brother in my room. This is actually a portrait of Peter Hahn himself. Very, very botched, very, yeah. Here's another one of Peter Hahn I drew. And this is like, I think, also another drawing like of his girlfriend or whatever like that. I think they're married now. Saw something like that. But yeah, this one was actually pretty cool. This is probably like my favorite drawing in the entire sketchbook. So this was like another one from like Life. I say from Life, but I took a picture of this. And this is actually an old home we used to live in. This is the kitchen. So you see the fridge, you see the tiles, you see the mop bucket. We had this thing that like kind of stopped the dog from going in and out. We have the back door there. That's actually my mother. And that's kind of like the back, like washing room. And that's our trash can, you know? So I was like, holy shit, like, yeah. And then we have like the little small island thing in like the center of the kitchen. So yeah, this is pretty cool. Like looking at this was like, holy shit. It was like looking at a picture, you know? This is me drawing my PlayStation 4 at the time. My controller, my PlayStation. More drawing on my hand. That's actually pretty good considering the perspective. it was in that I was drawing from. So not bad. I was really challenging myself. More hand drawings. More construction. Me trying to mannequinize and push my figures. As you can see here. Some anime. But yeah. So I'm gonna flip through this more. Nabushi from For Honor. Mannequinizing. So I had this thing where like I would do the gesture figure, and this is actually good practice. I actually highly recommend people do this. But what I would do is I would look at the figure and I would actually try to see through them. So I would literally just try to put the anatomy, like what their anatomy looked underneath. So I would draw them, but then like I'd put like the bones, like my understanding of anatomy on there, you know. Like I said, I was doing advanced stuff. Like, I'm very, very advanced. I was really pushing myself, really pushing myself. These are, you can see I'm drawing these heads, and then like these figures down here, I was trying to connect like a body. Obviously trying to draw from imagination and see what I can recall. Even though like these aren't necessarily great, the fact that I was doing this though made me so happy, because it meant that I was retaining information and I was doing the right thing. I was practicing right. I think that's also the thing as us as artists, you know, getting good at drawing takes so long. It takes years. And it's a drawing of The Undertaker. I think it was like a Hot Ones interview or something like that. But anyways, here I am labeling the bones: femur, fibula, tibula, pelvis, femur, fibula, tibia. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like it's hard for sometimes artists to gauge like whether they're doing right practice or not, right? Like am I getting better? You know? And the best way to do that is draw from imagination. Draw without a reference, you know? That's the only way to really see, like, if you're retaining information, you know? Like, do you understand the subject material well enough to just draw it without a reference? It's simple as that. All right. More figures. Actually, this is not bad. I actually like this one. Something about it. There's like a certain gestural like distribution of weight. It's reading pretty well with it. It's not like as stiff as these ones you see. But yeah, like I don't remember doing these little figures, but like yeah, like I am trying to push these figures in these multiple perspectives and stuff like that, you know. So not bad. So yeah, I always did skeletal studies. At this point, I was just studying bones. I hadn't quite gotten to muscle yet. Because I would see like Proco artists would tell me, or someone would recommend that you learn to draw the human figure from the inside out. Meaning you learn to draw the bones and then the muscles. I think some artists or a lot of artists just jump to the muscles. But the reason why they were saying that the problem with that is because if you just learn to draw the muscles and you just don't understand like the underlining, you don't know where those muscles are connecting to in terms of the insertions on the bone. So if you can draw the bone and then overlap the muscle forms onto the bone, boom, you there you go. You have a better understanding right there. Versus if you're just drawing like blobs, but you just don't know where these blobs are, you know, how they work essentially, it's going to show in your drawing. So that's why I was doing what I was doing. At this point, I got a new ballpoint pen, Uni Ball Vision Elite pen. And that's why like these lines are a little bit thicker, a little broader. Still doing my anatomy. The scapula is a very difficult bone to draw. You should try. I even make a note. This pen is amazing. I have some notes here. I just wish to be happy, to know how to feel. I don't know what I was going through at this time. Maybe it was the drawing. The character looks so sad. And maybe I wanted to like put a story element or something like that to it. I would also make notes of the pens I would go through. Weird. I think it was like a mileage thing. Just know how far I was like drawing. Or how much, sorry. I went through 4 pens already. And I kind of draw like a little sad face there. You know. But yeah, here I am like more anatomy practice. So I'm drawing the figure. And you can see I'm trying to do like what seems to look like the whole like I think it's Da Vinci, right? The kind of like anatomy man thing. And I'm just trying to draw the arms in all these different perspectives and angles, and same thing with the legs, right? But with the bones, you know. I was drawing a lot of the pelvis and stuff like that, you know. This one was from Pinterest, but yeah, more of the little guys. Big Daddy from BioShock. Dragon, gun. More gesture figure drawing, breaking down the anatomy, trying to see that spine. That's one thing I would do. I would kind of use like X-ray vision and try to see where that spine sits inside the body of the reference. Here I am. Here's like a cool one. Like, look how much I was pushing myself. Like, not only would I draw the pose, but I would try to break it down into its primitive forms. Even though I'm failing at it, the point is I'm attempting it. I remember this is strictly from Modern Day James. I remember this mannequin from his video. So, and at this point, this isn't pencil, by the way. This is the pen dying. I'm literally running out of ink, and for whatever reason, I don't know what was the mindset behind it, but I refused to throw the pen away until every last drop was out of it. I don't know what I was trying to prove. This page is absolutely a mess. I don't know, there's so much here. Like here, I'm drawing a little figure. It looks like I'm trying to apply the 8-head method to it, you know. Just drawings on top of drawings, you know. I wouldn't do this stuff today, you know. It's just, yeah, I don't know. Moving on. 1 through 5 pens. You know, more drawing sketches, doodles. Look how bad my boxes were. I think this is my attempt to try to render the primitives. Cylinders, boxes, that sort of thing. Oh, I remember I was really proud with this one. I did like the S curve. This wasn't from a reference. This was me pushing the figure. And I like how this S curve, like, this is like, you don't understand. Like, at this point, I was so happy because I was inventing things. Like, they weren't particularly good, but this was way better than, you know, when I had first started, to where I couldn't draw anything. Like, I mean, I couldn't even draw a box, right? I mean, as you've seen early on, like, look how much I'm struggling to draw these boxes, you know? And here I am just trying to, like, push this whole entire figure. I was really pushing myself here. And here I am, like, pushing more, like, inventing these figures and labeling it at the back, the front, so. Going back to what I was saying about the repetition. Look how many times I was drawing these bones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you could see this is the side of the pelvis, right? I'm focusing on this side of the pelvis in isolation versus tackling the whole entire thing. That's how you want to practice. You want to practice things bits and pieces instead of just, you know, practicing the whole entire figure at once. That's how you burn yourself out, because understanding and doing anatomy is like a lifelong endeavor. So, more figure gesture drawing, mannequin, and you can see I'm just a lot of bones, a lot of skeletons, you know, anatomy. Making notes, front scapula, last slide, back scapula, right side, you know, pushing myself, inventing, posing, reaching out, trying to draw a skeleton like walking, right? Putting one leg forward and the other backwards, right? Understanding the distribution of weight, right? He doesn't seem all too stiff here, right? Notice how he's leaning forward, right? He's distributing that weight. Spider-Man sketches right here. I think it was Miles Morales. I think it was a concept art for the video game. I was drawing Miles Morales with the cat. And I think it's important to always just keep drawing fun, and because it's easy to get wrapped up in kind of like the study, which is, you know, it's important, but you want to keep drawing fun. So don't forget to always go back and just draw cool shit. Draw things that you like, you know, draw some of your favorite artists' works. It's okay. Like, it's all right. A lot of people fear that. A lot of people fear of like just drawing and copying other artists, you know, but it's a must. If you look at where I'm at today, it's in the proof that what I was doing wasn't bad practice. It's not. I can tell you that right now. I know it's not. You know, that was the point. This was like an entire experiment for me. This was, see, I've been like, look, this was good. Look, I even made sure to do notes, no reference. because I was so proud on how this came out. I was like, this is like my best like skeleton yet. I was like, yo, no reference. I'm noting that. And this is good. You're talking about like maybe like a month or two, you know, of me drawing, and I'm able to do this without no reference. Thinking now, that's fucking crazy. The skeleton in all its entirety, you know, like for the most part, but with no reference for two. Come on. Come on. That's super good games. Gesture, but breaking down the anatomy inside the figure. A lot of people don't do these practices, by the way. People do figure drawings, but no one breaks it down the way I was breaking it down right here. I was taking it to like the fucking next level. You know, drawings from life, like portraits of friends and family. That's like a drawing of my mom. She kind of gets on me for that. Cause she's just like, I'm not, you know, it's a rough drawing. She's like, why'd you draw me like that? I was like, I don't know, Mom. Like, I'm bad. Like, I'm just pumping these out. Like, I'm just trying to get good. Like, drawing of a helicopter. Machinery, anything machinery is hard. Guns are hard, you know. But that's why they're so good to do. Draw cars, draw tanks, you know, draw planes, draw helicopters, draw firearms. Like, they're going to get you so good because of the amount of perspective that goes into them. Labeling, radius, ulna, pinky, thumb, scapula, clavicle, the radius, the ulna. Me making notes on the anatomy. Ulna connects to the pinky and radius connects to the thumb. That's actually really, really good advice. Think about that, you know. Your radius connects to your thumb and your ulna connects to the bottom of your pinky. And notice how my forearm is twisted, or I think it's called, damn, I forgot the word, supination. And I don't know. Don't roast me. I was going to say alternation, but yeah, it's like supination, alternation. You know, it's when you're rotating your arm, right? You can't, you stop after this because if you go any further, you're going to break your wrists or your arm because the bones overlap on each other. So that's what, making these mental notes and like, it's going to sound wrong, but I was going to say like playing with your body, like put your arms in front of you. Look how your body works. Go outside, like see how life works around you. Look at your family members, and it's going to sound weird, but look how their body works. You know, like when they're walking, when they're talking, like understand what muscles are happening underneath. This was me. I remember this page very vividly. Okay, so this was me trying something very, very new. I called this the 100 method. So what it means is I was really bad at drawing skulls, but specifically from like the side view, or I picked one view and I just drew it from reference. Not entirely. The whole point was to draw the skull, draw something 100 times, but the point was I was drawing these skulls mixed from reference and from imagination to see if I can recall. So I remember I heard Ahmed Al-Dori say something, draw something 100 times. By the end of it, you're bound to be better or a little bit better. So I put it to the test and I drew the skull like 100 times. And some of these, this was like invented. So this is like a side view of me just drawing the skeleton. So it does work. So if you are really bad, you want to get good at something, draw it 100 times. You'll get better. Simple as that. So yeah. So this is me kind of like inventing and creating a scene, because at this point I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at drawing the skeleton. Let me do something with that, right? Let me invent something, a scene. So like I said, I was excited about Attack on Titan at this time. And I thought, like, what if I made like little like skeleton monsters, you know, giant beings trying to eat these people, you know? And I made kind of like a little small story time thing where it was like, hurry it up, man, get those cannons going. The skeletons are here. You got one like soldier, he's like, I don't want to die. Like they're panicking, and you know, so I like to Attack on Titan. So I'm taking my studies and what I know and I'm applying it, right? I'm creating these scenes and these stories and stuff like that with what I studied. I was studying so much anatomy. Why not make a story about giant skeletons? That's what it seems I've been drawing, right? Like here's a skeleton I drew of like him eating a person, where the dude's saying, no, please, Lord, have mercy. You know, just, and then going back to studying. So I'm having fun, right? I'm doing my homework, and then I'm applying it, right? All right, I'm gonna start speeding past some of these because the videos are already like 44 minutes. So I do not want this to check. I don't really want this to be over an hour. I'll make very quick notes here and there, but I will say, all right, so at this point I was like, okay, Tim, I was drawing a lot of just the skeleton, just drawing a lot of bones, right? Remember I was talking about learning about some damage here. It seems like pretty cool. It looks like a little pretty cool like watercolor effect. But anyways, I started drawing the bones a lot, right? Skeletons, and I'm just like, boom, it's time to move to the muscles. And you can see I started drawing the muscles, but not only that, since I already had a visual understanding where I could draw the skeleton without reference, I knew it would be easier to slap the anatomy on top. So that's what I'm doing here. Granted, it's not great, but I'm drawing the skeleton from the I'm drawing the body from the outside in. So I'm drawing the skeleton first, right? Using this as a base, and then I'm putting the anatomy on top. You know, deltoid, bicep, you know, bicep brachii or whatever, tricep, you know, and skeleton, right? And I'm slapping the anatomy. Look at that. I'm doing my little mannequin, and I'm putting my anatomy on top of it. My rib cages need a lot of work. My rib cages would be always too small or too big, you know, but repetition. So that's what I'm doing. Look, I'm creating these figures, and I'm putting the muscles on top of them. Look at that, you know? So look, making notes again, the radius, the ulna, right? The bones in the forearm, right? So boom. Doing this kind of practice, you see like the bone I would start off with, and then you would see how I would kind of do like the little bubble wrapping around it, right? They call it the snowman effect. So that's what I started doing a lot of. And notice like the sketchbook isn't clean. They aren't beautiful. They're not illustration, like finished pieces from one page to one page. No, this is a sketchbook. This is what you call a sketchbook. Look how messy it is. Look how, yeah, it's just messy. It's just, yeah. It's like the inside of my mind. It's just like all over the place. But this is how you get good. It's not the finished stuff. Yeah, you'll benefit from finished stuff 100%. I'm not saying you won't. But the whole point of this was repetition. It was just getting it out. Just getting it out. Just getting it out. It was a mileage thing. Just get it out. Just get it out. Spit it out. Spit it out. That's why Peter Hahn those artists use Art Atelier, right? These wizard artists, right? You see like really old videos, black and white, them drawing on a chalkboard. They're teaching anatomy. What do they do after they're done drawing, whatever like that? On chalk, they erase everything. Beautiful art, beautiful demonstration, beautiful demos, all gone. And you're like, as a normie, you'd be like, oh my, I wouldn't have did that. I would have kept it. You know, I would have. And see, that's where like you need to change that mindset, because you can do it again. You could do it probably better a second time, a third time. Do not get attached to your drawings. The minute you can change the way, you know, like, how many people you know draws like a pretty mediocre bad image and then they frame it like it's amazing, you know? I mean, you could do that, each to their own, right? But my mindset's not like that, because I'm going to draw that thing, feel proud about it in the moment, and then a month or 2 months later, I'm gonna go back and look at it and be like, I hate this. There's so many problems with this. I could do that a lot better. Why did I think that was good? You know? So save your drawings, document your drawings, but don't get attached to them. I had a 600-page sketchbook. 600-page sketchbook challenge I did. I threw it out because I really threw it out because it was damaged. I didn't throw it just for the sake of throwing it out. It was damaged. But I didn't like really get sad, because for one, it kind of exists already on recording. But yeah, it was like, don't get attached to your drawings. Here's another self-portrait. I said self-portrait. A portrait of Ahmed Al-Dori. Yeah. As you can see, I was very good at drawing faces. That's Miss Jisoo. Super Ani. I love the way she drew her female characters. Here's like another one. And there's nothing wrong with copying other artists. I copy all the time. That's why I'm good. People don't understand that either. They're just like, oh, draw a box. Draw a box. I was using Sakura micron pens. People might hate me for just practicing and sketching with microns, but I don't want to say I was an idiot or a dummy, but your boy was doing all this with microns. So, yeah, I know. But yeah, this is my kind of like start to draw box. I was doing all these exercises. When I saw these planes and drawing the ellipses, and I was like, this looks so cool. I like this effect. And I just filled up pages with this stuff. Just pages with this stuff. This is where I was trying to nail in like perspective or a 2-point perspective. I was just doing this over and over again. You know? My 1 point, just trying to nail in 1 point, trying to get my ellipses down, you know? Yep. Repetition. I remember someone in my Discord, like, not too long ago was showing me that they were doing these practices, right? With the boxes and the 1 point, and here I am doing them. This is 2020, by the way. This is years ago. And here I am doing them. And Dropbox is great, you know. I think it's really good if you don't know like where to definitively start, and you know you're not trying to spend money on a course where someone's going to walk you through the process. Do Dropbox. Dropbox is great. I mentioned Peter Hahn a lot, especially in the beginning, but Peter Hahn was his teacher, the dude who runs Dropbox, so, or the creator at least. Okay, so at this time I had like Michael Hampton, because I remember that I drew this from the Michael Hampton book. You can see that. I think it's towards the end of the book. Michael Hampton. Favorite art book, great art book. Oh yeah, another one from Michael Hampton. So these are from Michael Hampton. And you could tell this is where I was like watching a lot of Kim Jong-gi, right? Kim Jong-gi would do a whole lot of the whole like boxes and the whole carrot nose thing, right? So doing these basic forms and putting, because I remember in the video he was saying like, put something as simple as this for the face, right? And then you would have the face, and I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, they're not great, but like they are in different angles. So here I'm drawing the boxes, trying to put the carrots on them, you know? And here I'm just trying to test out my perspective. It was like, oh, let me have them go into like the distance, you know, more perspective stuff. This is me kind of like cutting and putting wedges and stacking shapes into each other. So you can see like my boxes are getting a little bit better. They're still crummy. Look at that. I try to put a whole ass figure in these boxes. I can't even get a box right in here. I'm just trying to put a whole figure, but I'm pushing myself. I am attempting, and there is nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you gotta be like, you know, a little overconfident with your art, right? It's like, yeah, I might fail, but I'm gonna do it anyways, just to see what'll happen. So I was drawing a lot smaller here, but I mean, look at this. It's a mess. Look at that. Look how many times I redrew this arm. And this is the kind of practice people need to do. Look at that. I think that was, I don't know if that's invented or not. Android went off. All right. Look at that. Muscles, drawing the arms, inventing skulls, going back to the anatomy. And yeah, embrace the suck. Embrace the garbage. Look how bad I was, you know? Look how bad I was. I wasn't focusing on making good drawings. I was focusing on understanding, if that makes sense. Understanding what I was trying to get good at. Look how much the pen is dying. Like, and I refused to throw the pen away. I would just draw until it would literally create no more marks. I don't know if you would call it a form of autism, but I don't know. And there was this need to fill up the entire page. I had this obsession that I had to cover every corner of my sketchbook page, which is, like I said, I don't do that anymore, but I don't know what I was trying to prove or what was the reasoning behind it. We're getting towards the end here. There's more draw box exercises with the ribbons and stuff like that. So. Arm anatomy, bone. I remember I drew this from imagination. I was practicing like some foreshortening thing. I was really proud of this, stuff like that. Yeah, more figures. I remember I was proud of this. Look at that. Drawing the bone, and then I'm putting the anatomy. Really cool stuff. Look at that. I'm taking my time looking through some of this because it's like finding Waldo, right? Like there's so much going on, you gotta look slowly and you might catch something, you know. On here I am, you could tell I was doing a lot of studies of the leg, right? Look at all the leg anatomy I was doing. Look at that. Look at these little legs down here. These little doodles. That's what you call a sketchbook, man. Look at that. Look at that. It's madness. It's madness. Look how many times I was drawing the legs. They're like literally overlapping each other. It's like literally if you turned on all your layers of multiple drawings in your art program and they're just overlapping each other. That's what that looks like. Inventing figures, you know, playing around. Me drawing these skulls in a perspective, right, from imagination, trying to put them in boxes, rotating them. Even though I couldn't, I was trying. And I ended off with a Kim Jung-gi study page. I don't want to show too much of this because there's nudity and all that stuff, you know. Kim Jung-gi, so. And then this is the end of the sketchbook. There's no more pages here. This is like the back of the sketchbook. I went past the pages. I even drew on like the cover. And I think I was using like a Sharpie or something. Like a Sharpie pen marker or whatever like that. And a lot of these are a mix of just like imagination, drawing from reference, right? Constructing the figure, you know, trying to make the figures like walk and move and stuff like that, you know, doing more here, like this and that. So like I said, do a mix, right? It's a mix. Draw from reference and draw from imagination. And you kind of want to complement those, you know, and that's how you're going to get better at both. So, and that's it. That is the end of the sketchbook. And look, I even drew on the back. I did not waste a sketchbook at all. 1 point perspective. And then I put the date. Oh, there you go. I put the start date and I put the end date. So September 29th, 2020 to January 7th, 2021. And this is my first ever sketchbook, guys. I think it's really important to show this because this is where it all started for me. It's crazy because I remember going through this sketchbook and was just thinking to myself, I want to look back at this, you know, years later and just being like, wow. Like, look at that. Like, wow, I actually did it. Because I knew the time was flying. I knew the time was going to go by. Time these days, right, it just seems to just go by crazy. And I'm just like, I'm going to look back at this. And I'm gonna be like Thanos. I'm gonna be like, what did it cost? Like, what did it cost? You know, it cost everything. I did it, but I sat out and I said I was gonna do it, and I did it. But do not forget where you came from. So that's pretty much it, guys. This ended up pretty much being an hour video, but I think this video is very, very, very important for new artists that see this and that it is possible and you 100% can get better. I am a living example of it. I'm probably like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, I shouldn't say this about myself, but sometimes I feel like I'm like really dumb. Like I think it just intuitively, I just do things the wrong way, you know? I think that's what my learning process is. I think the reason why I feel like I'm a slow learner is because I'll like, it feels intuitively, but I feel like I would intuitively do the wrong thing, get good at doing the wrong thing to get to do the right thing. And sometimes that's what drawing is, man. Sometimes you have to fail a bunch and it takes years. You have to, you know, before you understand, like, oh, after 6 years, right, you're like, okay, that's how you do it. You know, but the thing is you never stopped. So you got it. It took longer. It took a little longer in the end, but you got it, you know? So that's pretty much it, guys. Enough of my rambling. I hope if you got inspired, learned something new, changed your mindset in any way or the way, you know, you see things, please like the video. You know, comment if you have something to say or whatever like that. I always love to hear what anyone has to say. So with that being said, stay safe, you know, God bless, and most importantly, never stop drawing. All right, bye-bye.